Labeling is a critical component of a food manufacturing system from both regulatory and consumer protection perspectives. A food manufacturing label is any descriptive material, such as text, a tag, or a brand mark, that is attached to or printed on a food container to identify the product and provide information to consumers. This requires information such as a statement of identity, net quantity, ingredients list, the name and address of the manufacturer, and the nutrition facts label. Other requirements include allergen declarations, and for certain products, country of origin and date marks like best by or expiration dates. The label must also follow specific formatting rules, such as listing ingredients in descending order by weight and ensuring certain information is legible. The core requirements of food product labels include statement of identity, the common or usual name of the food product, such as soup or cereal. Net quantity, the amount of food in the package, listed in both weight and volume, for example, ounces and milliliters. Ingredient list, all ingredients must be listed in descending order by weight, with common names and the function of any food additives. Allergen declaration, the presence of any of the big 9 major food allergens must be clearly declared. Nutrition facts label, a standardized label that includes serving size, calories, and amounts of various nutrients, with a full list of required and voluntary nutrients including vitamin D, potassium, calcium, iron, and added sugars. And manufacturer information, the name, address, and relationship, for example manufactured for, of the manufacturer, packer, or distributor. A food manufacturing statement of identity is the product's common or legal name, clearly identifying what the food is for consumers. It must be placed on the principal display panel, or PDP, and follows a hierarchy, using the name from a standard of identity if one exists. If not, it must be the common or usual name or, if necessary, a descriptive term. It is distinct from the brand name and must be prominently displayed in a font at least half the size of the largest font on the package. Here are the specific requirements and some examples. Standard of identity. If a food has a standard of identity, that is the required statement of identity. For example, to be labeled as peanut butter, the product must be made primarily from peanuts and meet specific ingredient and fat content requirements. Common or usual name. If there is no standard of identity, use the common name consumers expect like crackers or cookies. Descriptive name. If a common name doesn't exist, a descriptive name is used such as whole green peas or toaster pastries. Brand name versus statement of identity. The brand name such as Nilla Wafers is separate from the statement of identity, which for that product is vanilla wafers. Placement. The statement of identity must be on the principal display panel. Size. The type must be at least 1/2 the size of the largest font on the package. And clarity. The statement must be in English and accurately identify the food to prevent consumer confusion. Food manufacturing weight labeling includes fixed weight labeling for uniform products and catch weight labeling for items with a variable weight, such as a cut of meat. Both are types of net weight labeling, which indicates the weight of the food itself, excluding the packaging. Additionally, labels can specify the gross weight for shipping purposes and may include a net quantity statement showing the weight in both ounces and grams. The categories of weight found on labels include net weight, the weight of the food product alone, after the weight of the container and packaging is removed. This is sometimes referred to as tare weight. Fixed weight labeling, the product's weight is determined before it is packaged. A specific weight is set on the label, and the system checks if the product meets this weight requirement. Catch weight labeling, used for products with a variable weight, such as certain cuts of meat. The label reflects the exact, individual weight of that specific item. And gross weight, the total weight of the product, including all packaging, containers, and wrapping materials. This is crucial for shipping and logistics. Food manufacturing net quantity labeling requires manufacturers to declare the amount of product in a package, excluding the container weight, on the principal display panel. The declaration must include the net quantity of contents, which is the amount of food itself, including any liquid it's packed in, unless the liquid is discarded, like in some pickled products. The units of measure are solids, Weight, using both U.S. customary, such as ounces and pounds, and metric units like grams and kilograms. And liquids. Fluid measure including fluid ounces and liters. For the format, the statement should be expressed in a way that is clear and easy to compare. For example, net weight 16 ounces, followed by 452 grams in parentheses. The placement of the net quantity statement must be on the principal display panel, within the lower 30% of that panel, and the text should be parallel to the base of the package. And the appearance. The text must be prominent and legible, with font size requirements based on the package size. And finally, some weight special considerations include drain weight. For foods that are usually sold by weight and packed in liquid, you must declare the drain weight if the liquid is typically discarded for products such as olives and mushrooms. Exemptions. Applies to certain retail-level packaged foods, meat products subject to the Federal Meat Inspection Act, and poultry products subject to the Federal Poultry Products Inspection Act. Inaccuracy. The statement must be accurate, though minor variations due to moisture loss or gain during distribution or manufacturing are allowed. Food ingredient list labeling requires itemizing ingredients, proper labeling for multi-ingredients, declaring major allergens, identifying when water is added, and suitable declarations for spices and flavorings. The details of these requirements for ingredient list labeling include descending order by weight. Ingredients must be listed in order of their predominance by weight, with the ingredient that weighs the most appearing first. Multi-component ingredients. If an ingredient is itself made of multiple components, those components must be listed in parentheses after the main ingredient's name. For example, a product with dried fruit would list the specific fruits in parentheses, for example dates or figs. Allergen declaration. The 9 major food allergens, including milk, eggs, peanuts, tree nuts, fish, crustacean shellfish, wheat, soybeans, and sesame, must be clearly declared in the ingredient list by their common or usual name. Water content. Water added during processing must be listed in the ingredient list unless it is completely removed during processing. And collective versus specific names. Ingredients like spices or natural flavors can be listed as collective terms. However, specific certified color additives must be listed by their given name, such as FD and C yellow number 5. If spices or flavors are a principal ingredient, each must be listed individually. And lastly, the name of any preservative must be accompanied by its function, such as calcium propionate, parentheses preservative. Food manufacturers must declare major allergens in the ingredient list or in a separate contained statement, according to the Food Allergen Labeling and Consumer Protection Act, or FALCPA. The allergen's common name must be used, and if it's not immediately clear from the ingredient name, it must be identified in one of 2 ways. The specific allergen declaration methods include: Method 1. Parentheses in the ingredient list. The allergen's food source is listed in parentheses immediately following the ingredient name. For example, flour with wheat in parentheses, whey with milk in parentheses, or lecithin with soy in parentheses. This method is sufficient on its own but can be combined with the contained statement. And Method 2. Contained statement. A statement is included after or next to the ingredient list that names the food source of each major allergen used in the product. For example, contains wheat, milk, and soy. If the allergen is already declared in the ingredient list, such as buttermilk, it doesn't need to be repeated in the contained statement. However, the contained statement should list all other major allergens present in the product. Here is what must be declared. The Big 9 must be declared in the U.S. FALCPA mandates the declaration of the 9 most common food allergens that cause 90% of all food allergies. These are milk, eggs, peanuts, tree nuts, fish, crustacean shellfish, wheat, soybeans, and sesame. Products may contain other allergens, but only these major allergens are required by U.S. law to be declared. Other countries may require additional allergens to be declared. For example, there are 14 allergens requiring labeling in Europe, including cereals containing gluten, crustaceans, eggs, fish, peanuts, soybeans, milk, nuts, celery, mustard, sesame seeds, sulfur dioxide and sulfites, lupin, and mollusks. Food manufacturers are required to provide a nutrition facts label on most packaged foods, which includes serving size, calories, and amounts of fats, carbohydrates, proteins, and salt. This is overseen by the FDA and mandated by the Nutrition Labeling and Education Act of 1990. Manufacturers determine these values through their own databases or by using National Institute of Standards and Technology, or NIST certified reference materials to ensure accuracy. The key requirements for food manufacturers include mandatory information. Labels must include serving size, servings per container, and the amounts of calories, total fat, saturated fat, cholesterol, sodium, carbohydrates, protein, and sugars. Data accuracy. Manufacturers must ensure the accuracy of the data on the label. The National Institute of Standards and Technology provides reference materials to help confirm the nutrient content of food products. Database use. Manufacturers can use proprietary databases that compile nutrient information for specific products or calculate values based on a recipe database that accounts for nutrient loss during processing. Regulatory oversight. The FDA oversees the nutrition facts label and has updated the requirements, with the most recent major revision released in 2016 and implemented by manufacturers since 2021. And front-of-package labeling. The FDA has proposed a new rule to require front-of-package labels with information on saturated fat, sodium, and added sugar to make it easier for consumers to make quick, informed decisions. Here is information found on the nutrition facts label. Serving size. Providing the serving size and the number of servings per container helps the consumer to understand the total nutritional content of the package. Calories. The calories per serving helps the consumer to understand the energy it provides. Nutrient amounts. Note the amounts of fat, saturated fat, carbohydrates, sugars, protein, and salt. This information can help the consumer make informed food choices. And daily value. The label includes information on daily values based on a 2,000-calorie diet, which can help the consumer understand the contribution of a food to their overall daily intake. Country of origin labeling, or COOL, on food products indicates where a product was made, grown, or produced, which informs consumers and is enforced by regulations like the Tariff Act of 1930 in the U.S. Imported goods must be marked with their country of origin, and certain food products also fall under regulations from agencies like the USDA, which has specific requirements for items like ground meat. COOL informs consumers about the origin of their food, with many consumers preferring domestic or local products. It can apply to multiple countries if an item's value chain spans several nations. Here is some information on U.S. regulations and enforcement. The U.S. Customs and Border Protection, or CBP, enforces the Tariff Act of 1930, which requires imported goods to be marked with their country of origin. The United States Department of Agriculture, or USDA, enforces labeling for specific foods, such as certain types of meat, poultry, and eggs. For ground meat products, such as chicken, lamb, or goat, the label must list all possible countries of origin. A new USDA rule finalized in March 2024 aims to close a loophole in voluntary product of USA claims, which had allowed products that were only packaged in the U.S. to use the label. COOL information must be legible and easy to see, placed in a conspicuous location where consumers are likely to read it. It can be presented in various formats, including a placard, a sticker, a twist tie, or a pin tag. For food products made from mixed ingredients, like a shrimp quiche made with imported shrimp, the product of the USA label for the final dish is generally acceptable, while simply saying imported by or distributed by is not sufficient for compliance with COOL requirements. Food manufacturing date marking labeling, often referred to as best by dates, indicate the time a product will have its best flavor and quality, but are not a safety expiration date. Food can often be consumed safely after this date if it has been properly stored, but may no longer be at peak freshness. There are categories of date markings. They include use by. This is a recommended date for when a product should be used for peak quality, especially on perishable items like meat and dairy. Sell by. This date is for the retailer to know when to take a product off the shelf. It is not an indicator of safety, and food is often safe to eat for days or weeks after this date if stored properly. And expiration date. This is the only date that is a safety guarantee. It is legally required only for products like infant formulas. Some important considerations of date markings are quality, not safety. The best if used by or expiration date is a guideline for optimal quality, not a safety deadline. Peak freshness. The product may be safe to eat after this date, but its flavor and texture might have changed. Proper storage. The shelf life of a food product is heavily dependent on proper storage conditions. Improper handling or storage can shorten a food's usable life. And customer requirements. Many customers may have shipping or sale expiration date requirements. For example, a purchase contract may require 2/3 of the shelf life remaining when the product is received. Common barcode types in food manufacturing include one-dimensional, 1D, barcodes like UPC and EN for retail and GS1-128 for logistics, and two-dimensional, 2D, barcodes such as QR codes and data matrix for storing more detailed information. Other types include GS1 data bar, which is useful for fresh foods, and ITF-14 for large product packaging. The specific barcode used depends on the item and its purpose, such as point-of-sale scanning or supply chain tracking. One-dimensional barcodes include Universal Product Code or UPC, the standard for retail scanning in North America. European Article Number or EN, used globally for retail point of sale, with EN 13 being common. GS1-128. A versatile barcode for case and pallet labels, used in the supply chain to track items with more details like batch numbers and expiration dates. GS1 data bar. Often used for fresh foods to encode extra information like weight and best before dates. And ITF-14. Used on outer packaging to encode the GTN-14 for cases or pallets. Two-dimensional barcodes include QR codes. Square-shaped codes that can hold a large amount of data, including URLs for consumer engagement, product information, and regulatory details. And data matrix. A compact 2D code that can hold a high density of data and includes error correction, making it suitable for small items or those requiring extensive data. Front of package, or FOP labeling, provides quick, at-a-glance nutrition information on the front of food packaging to help consumers make healthier choices. In the U.S., the FDA has proposed a mandatory nutrition info box that would show whether a food is low, medium, or high in saturated fat, sodium, and added sugars. Other countries use different schemes like traffic light systems, which use colors, or summary ratings like Nutri-Score. The purpose of front-of-package labeling include informs consumers quickly, allows shoppers to make healthier decisions without having to flip the package over to read the detailed nutrition facts panel, promotes healthier diets, aims to help consumers limit nutrients that are often overconsumed and linked to chronic diseases, such as saturated fat, sodium, and added sugars, encourages transparency, helps counteract misleading health claims on packaging by providing a more complete and honest snapshot of the product's nutrition, and drives product reformulation, can prompt manufacturers to create healthier products to meet consumer demand for better nutrition. Some examples of different front-of-packaging systems include US FDA's proposed system, a compact nutrition info box that displays the levels of saturated fat, sodium, and added sugars as low, medium, or high. Traffic light system, like those used in the United Kingdom, uses colors, such as red for high, amber for medium, and green for low to indicate levels for fat, saturated fat, sugars, and salt. Nutri-Score used in France and Belgium, a 5-color scale, from A to E, to provide an overall health score for a product. And a keyhole symbol that are used in Sweden and Denmark, a symbol that indicates a healthier choice within a food category. Most food manufacturers use internal labels to aid in product identification, traceability, and allergen control. Typical labels include raw material or ingredient labels. These generally include unique lot and pallet number designations, manufacturing date, use by or expiration dates, vendor information, and purchase order information. Barcodes are often used to aid in warehouse management system tracking purposes. Case product labels. Case product labels usually contain customer, product, manufacturing, allergen, and nutritional information. They are placed on the outside of each bulk product case or printed on the exterior of the case, that then are palletized. Finished good labels. These are often similar to raw material labels, and often include lot and pallet numbers, manufacturing date, use by or expiration dates, storage requirements, and may contain customer information. Allergen labels. These are placed on pallets containing allergens when they are received to support the allergen control program during storage and used to prevent cross-contamination or product adulteration. Other internal labels may include hold tags for products that are placed on hold awaiting a disposition decision, rework tags, and denature and destroy, or D&D tags for products that will be disposed of. Labeling is a critical component of a food manufacturing system from both regulatory and consumer protection perspectives. Knowing the requirements and ensuring regulatory compliance are vital to food manufacturers. We hope you found this training valuable. Please click the subscribe button to access additional food sure training videos.